Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast. Today's episode is number 187. I think I got that right. And got a couple special guests with us today, along with always wonderful Brad Knott. Hey, Brad, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We also have Eric Hanson, who's our offensive services team manager. Oh my God, I can't talk. See, words don't matter, Eric. Eric's here.
Hey, I'm doing good.
And then we also have Michael Pinky Thompson, our blue team lead. Welcome aboard, Pinky. How are you?
I am okay. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Eric, I think I cut you off there, man. I'm sorry. I got really excitable on that intro, said a bunch of words wrong. It sounded like you were going to say something. Let's try again.
No, I was just gonna, in case I was saying I'm doing good because you were talking while I said I was doing good before. Don't worry about me. We're good.
Everything's great. Everything's wonderful.
Everything's amazing.
Cool. So today we're going to talk about the DEFCON experience, and I got some inside information here from Eric and Pinky. Get more info on how that went, things they enjoyed, and maybe things they didn't enjoy. We usually start with a news story. And Brad, what you got for us today, man?
Yeah, so Apple came out with 2 0 days, one for Mac OS and one for iOS. And it's basically affects any device that can run iOS 15.6.1 or Mac OS Monterey 12.5.1. So a huge swath of devices, remote code execution and kernel with kernel privileges. So patch fast.
So patches are out now. Do you guys know, is Apple auto pushing these patches, or you have to go manually get the patches?
I believe you have to manually get it.
Okay.
Yeah, Apple's urging them to users immediately install respective updates.
I haven't used an Apple since the original iPods. You know what I mean? But if it's like any other phone, they'll kind of auto push it slowly, but you have the option of accepting it and doing it faster. Would be my guess. I did see note 2 on this one that that there were reports of active exploitation on this. So.
Yeah, I'd say get on that ASAP then. How about on anybody using a MacBook? Have you seen auto patches there or anything? I haven't turned my MacBook on since I got back home.
Yeah, same. I haven't turned it on since I got back home. So,
yeah.
I was under the distinct impression, though, that you can't hack a Mac, so this is news to me.
We need no import protection on those, right?
That's right.
It's the word on the street. I don't know if it's true. So cool. Yeah, let's dig in. Probably a lot to cover today. Eric, Pinky, just got back from DEFCON 30 this year. I like your hat, Eric. I have the same one. I almost wore it today. I'm glad I didn't, because then we'd be super twinsies. Which maybe
you
that would always
wear yours, and I could just swap over to this one right here. You know, we're good.
Oh yeah. That's
there you go.
Yeah. Wait, it's too small. Oh. Damn it.
I'm pretty invested in my Sam Squinch holding the trout, though, because I think he kind of looks like me a little bit, you know? Yeah, so what do you guys think? How'd DEFCON go this year?
It was great, I would say. It was, back to a side, like the last couple of years. Last year, I want to say, nobody quote me on this, but I want to say there was only 9,000 something, under 10,000 attendees last year. A lot of people pulled out due to the pandemic. A lot of vendors pulled out last minute. A lot of villages pulled out last minute. Just a lot of people didn't show up. There was no international travel kind of at the time, so there were a lot of people internationally weren't able to show up. And obviously, the year before was purely online, so it was really nice to see it kind of back in full swing. There was I don't know what the number was. I didn't hear it. Normally they say during the closing ceremony, but I didn't attend that. But it felt like there was a lot of, it felt like DEFCON again, right? So that was really cool. And
I did see that they ran out of the physical badges this year. I don't know how many they typically produce. But just following along. Yeah.
I heard that they had created 35,000 of them. Now, again, don't quote me on any number I say ever, But I literally read this on Reddit, and I don't know who the person was or if they had their facts straight, but they said it was 35,000 electronic badges, and then they started printing. And I believe the number they said they thought they printed after that was another under 10,000, like 8,000 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and that's big numbers too. I think from 3 years ago, our last full in-person event, I mean, that'd be 35-ish thousand people there this year, 40,000 people this year. Yeah, I think that's more. And it seemed more crowded to me this year than it had been before.
This is the first time we had seen it at the Forum, Caesars Forum. What they also had built, that crazy part is that the Forum didn't even house everything. Like some of the villages were in other hotels and stuff. Like I know some of the villages were in the Flamingo, for instance, and stuff. I don't know where else. Maybe I'm sure there's something probably in the Link being right next door, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, it did feel pretty crowded, but not in a bad way. Nothing felt like it took too. I mean, obviously, if you were one of those people who showed up like Thursday right after badges were able to be picked up, you were probably in line for a good long time. But it didn't feel too crazy otherwise. Going to places, going to see things, doing things. I didn't see lines other than the first kind of badge line and then the swag line or the merch line.
Yeah, the swag line, I think, stayed heavily populated most of the weekend. I feel like every time I walked by there, people were just lined up down the hallway still.
Yeah. Yeah, we got there at like 6 a.m. or 5 something. Can't remember. And we got in like a line con, and weren't too badly placed. We didn't take too long. We were able to pick up 21 badges and get out of there. And then we literally picked up all our badges, shoved them in our backpacks, put one on each. There's 3 of us going. That early in the morning, and we walked straight to the merch. We walked right in the door without a line. I mean, there was a line inside, but a very small one. We waited probably maybe 10 minutes in that line before we started getting merch. When we walked out of the merch store, there was a line going just hundreds of people,
Yeah.
Thousands probably. It was insane. Like we beat the line just perfectly. We were able to get through it all. So
I was surprised at the lines for the villages. So like even Sunday when we were rolling in there was a huge line just to get into like the Packet Hacking Village. Like just people lined up waiting on the doors to open. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I didn't go to that one. I went to a few different villages and never saw a line at all for those ones, but they were some of the bigger ones, like the physical security village or whatever it's called, the lockpicking village, the car hacking village. I didn't see lines on those ones. So
I think it was just because it was pre-open, right? So we had to be there right at open.
Yeah.
And I think it was just everybody lined up for that.
Yeah, every single morning, if you got there before something opened, there was a decent line for everything. It seemed like.
Gotcha.
But it seemed like the demand on Sunday was a little bit higher, too, for that village. I'm sure the others were the same because everybody knew you just got 2 hours left. Let's try to consume everything we can for this final 2 hours.
Yeah.
For the challenge, you're saying, specifically the CTF? Yeah.
No, this was actually for
just
they
because
had
2 hours left in general. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in the Packet Hacking Village, they had I don't even know what it was called. Do you remember, Pinky? But they had like workstations set up so folks who come in that weren't in the CTF and maybe they wanted to just practice some PCAP analysis or forensic analysis or exploits. And so they had terminals and workstations set up so you could just hop on those and get some training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I do know that some of the workshops, some of the village workshops, I believe they did like tickets to them. They did, what's that site that we always use for things?
Eventbrite.
Eventbrite. They used like some Eventbrite signups to get tickets for them, but some of them didn't. I believe Packet Hacking was one of those ones where it was just like, hey, come on in and wait your turn type of thing. And we'll kick people off after an hour or something like that to get cycling through, which is really cool because some people just don't get eyes on some of those signups beforehand, and then they show up and they're like, well, I want to do that, so, but also makes for lines.
Yeah, for sure. So one new thing, I noticed this year, and I don't think any of us did it, but I'm curious, I don't know, Eric or Pinky or Brad, if you guys have friends who may have taken part of this, but for the first time, I believe DEFCON actually offered training that was post-conference, right? So I've seen some people were staying long and kicking off training sessions like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad to see that part of the event now. It's something we'll probably take part of in the future, I would assume. So I don't know, did you hear any reviews from anyone yet on those classes or how they went?
Not yet.
No, I haven't heard anything about it.
I will be keeping an eye out for those, though, and seeing what people say about them. So this year, we had 4 of us do some training at Black Hat. And so we went early. A couple people did 4-day trainings, and a couple people did 2-day trainings at Black Hat before DEFCON. And I had heard that DEFCON was going to be doing training, but at the time that we had signed up for things and kind of scheduled everything, DEFCON hadn't pushed or posted any of that yet, I don't think, or at least I couldn't find it. So we kind of just went with what we, like a fallback, but I am looking forward to hearing how those went. I did hear that, they're a decent amount cheaper too, which is always cool to be able to get access to other people to do some of these trainings too. Because that's one of the things I think we have an issue with in this industry in general is that it's, if you talk to a lot of people who are trying to break in, who are trying to get started, they're always like, well, what training should I do? How should I spend my money? The why is this? And it's very unfortunate when you have to go, take this, which costs this much money, right?
Yeah.
When it comes down to a SANS class or when it comes to a Black Hat training, a lot of times that's out of the budget for a lot of people that are looking to get into this. Maybe they're unemployed right now, or they're employed in kind of an area that they don't make enough money to be affording that. They're really having to devote quite a bit to do it. So I like that there's going to be some cheaper options, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so too. And maybe let's back up for a minute. That's probably something I think our listeners would like to hear about. So Eric, you did Black Hat training, and 3 other folks on the team do Black Hat training. Maybe tell us a little bit about your course, other courses we took, and just what you thought of the courses. Were they good? Were they bad? Would you do them again?
Yeah, absolutely. I took the Assessing and Exploiting Industrial Control Systems and IIoT with Justin Searle and Enguardians. An amazing course. I would 100% recommend it. I would recommend, I'm tempted to reach out to him and see if he'll do some training for several people on our team separately, If it was a fantastic course. It was very thorough. It talked about all kinds of stuff, and it was just great. We had someone take an offensive oriented course for cloud, for AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, looking at some of the exploitation chains, privilege escalation with different types of credential sets or credential types and stuff like that, right? And some of the misconfigurations that can happen, how those can be abused. We had someone from the blue side, someone from the defensive side, take a similar course looking to kind of track some of that down, to defend those environments, to threat hunt on those environments. So that was really cool. It was nice to have them talking after when we get together for dinner, and they'd be talking about what they learned in each side of things, from the same kind of subject. We had someone who took a course on shellcode creation. And then we had someone, so actually we had 5 people. And then we had someone who took a course on Mac, offensive, Mac environment situation, right? I think it was Mac Tradecraft I think that one was with Spectre Ops. I believe, he said it was great. I've worked with Spectre Ops in the past for some training, and they're a great team. They do great stuff. So as far as I've heard, there were some lulls in some of the trainings for the AWS, Azure, Google Cloud stuff on the first day or two. But then I heard that they got a lot stronger as the time progressed on, and they got kind of more dug into it. So I think overall we had great experiences with training.
Everything I've heard too has been very positive. And those lulls, I think, are to be expected when you're looking at especially a 4-day kind of boot camp course, right?
Yeah.
Day one, let's get everybody spun up, make sure everybody understands the basics, and then we'll really dig into the good stuff after that.
Yeah, for sure. Though, as a quick shout out to the course I took with Justin Searle, it started off great and ended great. The thing was just full of content, but yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having some recap time with everybody on our team and kind of going through those things that we've learned and sharing that information with everybody else. But so far, it sounds like everyone had a great experience and a lot of good learning opportunity, which is awesome. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Cool. So, moving along, we did some CTFs this year too, right? So maybe tell us a little bit about the CTFs you guys took part in, the good, the bad, how you did, what you enjoyed about those CTFs, and
I'm excited for this part because I have no idea what you guys did.
Yeah, I can get rolling a little bit here on the blue side. So, we excuse me, we normally do the OpenSOC every year. That was canceled this year. We picked up another one we were going to do, I think, called Alpaca Attack. That got canceled about a week out. So blue team side, we were struggling a little bit, kind of scrambling, trying to find some CTFs to get in on. But we found a few, and then so one of the really neat things that I thought our guys did was a few of the folks were able to get into the Trace Labs OSINT challenge, which is live data, live FBI data for missing persons cases. And so they're basically using their open source intelligence gathering skills to go out and try to find clues to help find these people. And so I know our guys did find that one of the people had actually been found. So they were kind of taken off the board, but they got points for that. And then it was kind of neat. They were working a really active new case that I'd been seeing on the news while we were out there. So a girl that disappeared somewhere there in the Vegas area. But our guys worked on that hard. I know it hit them really hard too. Just talking to them after the day was over with that, they were both kind of down. And I get that, they care a lot and they wanted to help a lot. And, cool thing is too, apparently you can sign up for that and do that anytime. So, anybody that wants to help out with that, just get in there because it's a really great thing.
Yeah, I know, just for our listeners, like Trace Labs is a nonprofit, right? They were running a CTF there, but it's a nonprofit org that exists all the time, and they do accept volunteers. I think there's an application process to be accepted for that volunteer, and so anyone who's listening who wants to help and use your skills to do something good, that's a really, really good nonprofit to get behind and contribute to if you can.
Yeah. And then I know this was more of just a full team, hashtag one team effort, but everybody kind of got in on the biohacking village, the hospital under siege CTF as well. I think everybody had a lot of fun with that, found a lot of flags, learned a lot of new things. There were some really cool challenges in it this year. A lot of cross team collaboration there. I don't know if you guys probably picked up on this, but I was looking around the room there that night. We were all kind of hitting that, and it was like there was a red team and a blue team were paired up all around the room, and it was awesome. I was super pumped to hear that, or to see that.
Lots of purple puddles, as we call them.
Lots of purple puddles. Yeah, it was really good to see, man. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of times we don't get to do that as much, and crossing those skills over, and everybody knows something different, right? So there's a lot of people walking around and, oh, hey, this is how you do this weird thing in Android, or hey, here's how you do this thing over here. So a lot of good stuff there. And then the other blue focused one we did was the capture the packet one. It's a kind of mixed challenge. It had some offensive and some defensive stuff in it. A lot of doing PCAPs, analyzing those, but then also some standard forensic stuff, right? Like some log review and some dumping of AD information and that kind of stuff. So it's really cool though. So I thought those were all really good
Nice.
CTFs.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, as Pinky said, some people were working on the hospital under siege, the biohacking village CTF. So we had, some involvement on that. We worked on the red team village CTF. That one we worked on for the first. The thing is that we got a lot of people and we're trying to spread things out, not kind of. For instance, some of them will have limited amount of people who are supposed to be involved, and so we're trying to spread things out and kind of change focus and stuff. So, over the course of, I think, the few days there, we did the Red Team Village CTF. We did the Mayhem Industries, or the CTF that was put on by PTFS this year. We did one that we've always been talking about for years that we've never done before, which was Hack Fortress. This is more of honestly, all of these are about fun and team building for us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes we get a little over competitive. Sometimes we stop sleeping as much as we should because that's just how we are, how we're wired. But we don't ever actually take it, I think, that seriously. And we talked about doing this one for a while. Hack Fortress is one where you play the game Team Fortress. You have a team playing that. And then you also have a team of hackers who are doing a CTF in the background. And as you capture flag, you get points. And with those points, you can buy power-ups or boosts or things like that. So you can make it so it freezes the entire other team, or you can do things like that. So that was just pure fun. We had a blast doing that one. So we did that one too. We also
I was really excited that you guys got to do that this year. And, Pinky and I think we found you guys after you had finished that first match. And I don't think I've seen everybody as excited the rest of the weekend as you guys were after totally demolishing someone in a match.
That one was a ton of fun. The first, they had 8 teams playing. So they had a bracket of 4 games and then 2 semifinals and then a final. So we in our first match we did do very well, which is great because we didn't do any practice whatsoever. I mean, TF2 is an old video game that none of us had played in years, and we were just like, let's just do it. It'd be fun. Some people would like it. And when we had the first. Yeah, it felt like it after the first match. In our second match, we got completely stumped, and it no longer felt like riding a bike. It felt like we were just jumping off a cliff. But we still had a great time doing it. We had a blast, and that one was a lot of fun.
And I thought, after you guys demolished the team in the first round, and then I heard we had a ringer on the team, right? Somebody used to be a pro in TF2. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, these guys are going to take it all the way, man.
Yeah, we thought so too. We thought we actually had a pretty good chance after the first match, and
I think the best part of that was that you sometimes get over competitive. Sometimes.
Yeah, listen, man, we're not all the same. Some of us are built a little different, and I'm extremely competitive. I am one of those people who says, I'm literally going to. I'm not going to CTF this year. I'm just going to go visit villages. I'm going to go talk to people. I'm going to go do whatever. And then someone's like, hey, can you help me out with this challenge? I'm like, yeah, let me sit down. Open that laptop. And it's 6 hours later. I don't know what happened. But it's time to leave. And I didn't do that thing I said I was going to do. So, that's fun too, right? I'm trying to think. We did a little bit of command and control. We put a couple people on that. We've done that in the past years. We did very well a couple years back. We got second place in that one. We didn't take it we didn't take anything very seriously. I think this time around, and I think that was really important for everyone's mental, kind of health, was to not sit there and just go, oh my God, we have to work on this. We have to do this, and to not let the competitiveness take over. We had a lot of fun outside of the CTFs this year, and sometimes we just kind of walked away from them. We were in first place in one of the CTFs, and we were like, well, that's cool. Let's go do Hack Fortress now. And we took time away and did that. We came back from Hack Fortress and we were in 4th place. Like, oh, hey, that is what it is, And
I was gonna say, I think that makes sense because you guys, both the red and blue team, have grown so much since the last time it wasn't really truly in person. How many people were meeting each other in person for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, we had a few people on the team that were definitely new. I mean, obviously, a lot of us had just met recently at a company party not too long beforehand. But I think the important thing, too, is this was kind of a passing of a torch a little bit. So some of us have been on this team for a long time, been doing this stuff for a while. This year, there's some newer people, and it was like, hey, go have fun with this. Go do this, And I tried to stay out of a lot of those things and kind of just help when asked and focus on certain areas specifically instead of trying to make sure we did well, because it's not the purpose of it. The purpose is for us to build these relationships on our team. You know what I mean? And like you guys said, you looked around a room at one point and you'd see a bunch of blue team paired up with red team, and kind of building out inter team relationships, which I think is really important. So it was a really good experience for all of that.
It's the most important thing: the relationships, the camaraderie, really the brotherhood and the family that we build when we're there. And you're right. I mean, this year it was different than before. And, even though you said we didn't take it as seriously, we still have a competitive bug, and we still did very well across the board in the CTFs that we competed in, 4 top 10 finishes, which is excellent. But more importantly, I saw relationships form, 4 top 10 finishes. What I say?
Oh, you said
5.
4.
Yeah, 4.
It was 5.
Oh, it's 5. Yeah, 5 top 10 finishes right across the board. But then we still had balance. People were able to socialize, to go to talks, to go to villages, play games together. I mean, we had some dope-ass basketball games in the pool. And our competitive edge, even though we weren't showing it in CTFs maybe as much, we showed it on the pool court. So,
it got bad. Yeah, it got intense.
I loved on that note when JJ came over to me later on. He's like, I realized no one wants me dunking on them. They just get out the way. And I was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, do
it. Yeah. So you guys did the Red Team Village this year too, and I know finished top 10 in that as well. And that's one we hadn't focused a lot on before. I didn't even get to see anything. I know Pink and I were busy with other stuff, or there was just things going on. We were socializing with other people and whatnot. Tell us a little bit about the Red Team Village. What kind of challenges are in there? And
the Red Team Village,
enjoyed that one.
In my opinion, is one of the best CTFs, one of the best challenges. Well, when you look at it from a CTF, there's plenty of fun to be had and all kinds of other ones. I mean, you can't compare it to certain things. If you really dig getting creative and making a tinfoil hat, or you love doing the the scavenger hunt and stuff like that. Like they're just different beasts, right? But if you like kind of like the standard CTF, I think the Red Team CTF, Red Team Village one is just one of the best ones. It has this like very broad range of things are like anywhere from kind of easy to very difficult. It has like a large range of both categories and difficulties to really be able to give a lot of people room to mess around in. We spent a lot of time on the first day working on that one. I think we were in like 4th place for a bit on that one, and definitely could have tried to keep that up. But like I said, we just roamed around and did other things. I don't even think we touched the Red Team Village much in the last couple of days, for instance. So it was one of those things, but I think it's one of the best ones. It's extremely enjoyable. There's a lot of room for growth. I will say, we had a brand new person on the team. Watching him work on some of those challenges that were more difficult, it gave him the ability to shine and everybody to go, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Like he was literally the guy I'm talking about started at our company a week before DEFCON.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Well, DEFCON was his 2nd week in the company.
That's right. Yeah.
So literally like his 2nd day, I was like, hey, we got to buy you a flight and we got to get you there if you want to go. And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay, so let's get you there. And so we didn't really know, we hadn't had a lot of time to see him work. You know what I mean? Like he's literally just kind of getting the starting stuff, just kind of onboarding stuff. And to see him start taking on some of these challenges, I mean, everybody was like, okay, hello. This guy, he's a smart guy, you know what I mean? Which we all knew, but it's different to be able to show that off and do that. So there was a lot of cool stuff in there for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It was great, too, to even see a lot of our younger team members who maybe were here for the first time last year, right?
Yeah.
Even some of our first younger team members when we were in person last few years ago, and to see their growth from, either a year ago or a couple years ago to today, it was just phenomenal to me. And like to see the relationships form and how well that like everybody, you mentioned passing that torch. And I see a lot of our folks who were kind of new 3 years ago now, like taking on more of like a leadership perspective when they're there and coaching other people and helping other people.
Awesome.
And, you touched on another really good point. I think that's valuable for our listeners that maybe you haven't had the DEFCON experience. Maybe I think for some people it's intimidating or overwhelming, right? But there's something there for everyone, even in the CTFs. Like just go and try to be part of something. You'll find challenges that fit your skill set and your level. But I think more importantly, you're going to find an open community that's willing to accept you for whatever your skill level is and try to help you if you want that help. If you want to be part of that, people are always very welcoming there and more than willing to support each other.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that too. And realistically, if you've never been to DEFCON or you're thinking about it, maybe challenges aren't even your thing at all. Maybe the challenge force is something you never even look at. There's so much knowledge to be gained in so many different places. We had some guys on the team who really wanted to be part of the party scene. You know what I mean? Not so much to go get drunk and have a good time and party it up like that, but like they wanted to network. They wanted to meet people. We had a couple guys on the team who went to parties, met different people in different jobs, talked to them about their jobs, and were just they come back and tell stories about that. I met this guy who does this. I met this guy who does this, and they get that kind of networking and learning a little bit about what it's like in kind of different areas and what other people do. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, you can walk up to a lot of different people. And as long as, take hints, right? If someone's like short with you, maybe that's not the person to talk to, but there's a lot of people out there who are very willing to talk, very willing to kind of just discuss the things they're working on and things. I will say, though, you got to put yourself out there. We had a couple people randomly who would walk up to our table while we're CTF and be like, what are you guys up to? Like people we didn't know. And I'd be like, oh, we're working on the Red Team Village CTF. And they're like, okay. And they'd walk off. And you're like, well, did you want to strike up a conversation? Because I'm happy to chat. Everybody here is happy to chat, but don't make it awkward. Sit down and be like, oh, what's that one about? What kind of challenges? Like you got to involve yourself too. But if you do that, if you're the type of person who can get past that, even if you don't go there with anyone you're going to walk away with friends, So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say my advice to folks is, also don't be afraid to just ask questions when you're there. I know, like with some of the CTFs that we looked at that were on floor, you go there, there's not a lot of information for like, how do you do this? How do you start? Where's the console? Blah, blah, blah. But there's always going to be a volunteer around, and that volunteer, their job, and then what they want to do is help you and make sure you have fun and you're successful in that event. So like, don't be shy, ask questions, find the volunteer. They're typically going to be wearing a badge that's different than your badge so you can identify them, and just ask questions, and you'll find that people are more than willing to be helpful and they want to help you.
Yeah. I think too, it's just never be afraid to ask anything, like you said. I mean, the worst scenario is that someone's just going to be like, I'm not telling you that, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like someone's going to beat you up or something, you know. Not this year, unfortunately, but in previous years at both DEFCON and other conferences, we've had people that we just met who literally were like, what are you working on? What is it? Oh, what kind of challenge is that? Can you explain that to me? And we've like made friends. We ended up hiring people a few, like however many years back that we met at a CTF once, you know? And so, you know, it's just stuff like that. Like just ask the question. If there's something you want to learn and you think that person knows it, ask them, see what they say.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, it was a fantastic time. Sounds like you guys all had a great experience as well. And I think, you know, maybe takeaways here and thoughts at the end for our listeners, you know, maybe if we have listeners who are thinking about, I want to attend next year, or I want to send some people from my company next year. Eric, Pinky, what would your response to them be and advice to them be in that situation?
I mean, my advice would be if you're thinking about sending people, I mean, definitely do. You know what I mean? The overall cost, you know, to the company generally. I mean, yeah, it might rack up into however many thousands depending on how many you're sending and stuff like that. But the reality is, oftentimes you can send someone for an extra $1,500 on there. Like, think about what would it cost me to, like, how would I feel about giving that person a $1,500 raise this year? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, get them a ticket, get them a room, get them access to the con and let them do it. And then don't have a lot of expectations on like their goals of what they have to do. Let them be free to be interested in things and go see the things they want to be interested in. You know, a lot of times if there's someone who's thinking about going for the first time, I mean, the thing I'll always say is like talks are recorded generally, other than like Sky Talks, right? So you can see those later. By all means, go through all the talks, have the times of interesting talks to you, right? Have that already mapped out, planned out for your day. Say, okay, these are all the talks I would go see if I had literally nothing else to do. And then try to find other things to do than go to those talks. You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, you got nothing to do, go to the talk. But otherwise, go drop into a village. Villages, I think, are fantastic. Probably one of the best uses of time because you can learn about. There's one, they keep popping up new villages. This year there was a women who hack or girls who hack or girls in I can't remember the exact thing, but it was a new village this year. Apparently it was pretty small, but they had a lot of people there apparently. Hopefully it keeps growing, right? There's all kinds of different groups for all kinds of, whether it be something about, you know, women or whatever, you know, minorities, different things like that. Or like if you're interested in a specific area, like car hacking or the voting booth stuff or the lockpicking and stuff, right? Like those are areas where you can go in. They have some examples set up. They have some bypass tools for like the physical security village, right? Stuff like that. And you can ask someone like, how do you use this? How do you get started in this? You know, there's not only just people working those kind of displays and stuff like that, but there's people, goons and volunteers and stuff like that. Sometimes vendors in those areas that are really interested in getting people involved in those areas that can tell you a lot about how you get involved or how you can learn some of these things or how you can obtain some of these things or test some of these things. And so there's just a lot of knowledge to be gained in those areas. And everybody generally who's helping run a village in DEFCON, that's their entire goal, is to help you learn. They're not doing it because of some other reason, you know? I mean, yeah, sometimes there's some side effects of like, hey, cool, if you can hack this, that's going to be new. You're going to find a 0-day in this while you're here. But that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it to spread that knowledge, to get more people involved in these industries. The reality is we have a lot of people in these industries, or a lack of people in these industries, right? Like people want to hire people and they can't, right? So if you're interested in them, they're as interested in teaching you about them as you are about learning them. So go out there and just put yourself out there.
Yeah, very good advice, Eric.
Yeah.
Pinky, what do you think, man?
I was going to just say ditto and be a jerk about it, but no, I agree with that. I do think like a little bit of planning to kind of figure out the types of things you want to try to hit is good. That's with any conference though, because once you get there, it's so distracting. I mean, there's plenty of like techno blaring and flashing lights and fun things going on everywhere. So kind of know what you're after a little bit, but then don't be afraid to deviate. I kind of wish I would have spent a little more time wandering around. I know I kind of got lost and ended up down a hallway that had a sign for some kind of pirate ship that was back there somewhere. And I had a moment of like, I kind of want to go see that, but I got stuff to do, so I had to go back. But the other thing too is just like, yeah, don't be intimidated. I'll be honest, I was a little bit intimidated this year. This was my first live one. I didn't know what to expect. Didn't know how difficult things would be for like CTFs and that kind of thing, because the remote ones are one thing, but kind of being there and doing it's a whole different challenge. So yeah, don't be intimidated by any of that, and just get in there and learn. That's like Eric was kind of saying there. That's what it's there for. And generally people are pretty nice. I mean, you're going to run into a couple of jerks everywhere, but just kind of have to ignore them and move on. But stuff like, I mean, kind of like you were saying, like the with the villages, things like lock picking, right? I mean, like we all kind of play with that from time to time, but then you've got a whole area dedicated to that. If that's something you don't get to do very often, go hit that. If you like, I think Eric or Oscar were saying the voting machines, right? Like, I mean, how many times do you get to play with a voting machine? Hopefully not very often, because you're not, doing anything in November. But, go check that out and see how all that stuff works and get a feel for, understand the strengths and weaknesses of that system and kind of how it operates, and just stuff you don't get to see everywhere else. You can pre-Mohawk as well. That's up to you. They do have the ability to do it while you're there. Eric didn't get to dye mine while we were out there, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that. Thought about that on the way home. So
you're lucky anyway. The pool washed all my color out. Look at this.
I saw it kind of killed it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I came in looking like fire. I left looking like someone peed in my pool.
Kind of got that trailer park bleach going now, man.
Yeah, they look a little bleached.
Yeah. Pulled it all out.
Yeah, just if it's a thing you're comfortable going, then go and enjoy it. And like Eric said too, the talks are usually online as well. So I would follow up on this year's, or any year you don't go, or whatever you miss. So that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. The biggest thing for me too are the intangibles for us specifically, and we've already touched on that. But it's if you have a team and you send a team. It's a great opportunity for bonding and developing those relationships, and really those intangibles to me are the most important thing. I was reflecting with Dowd on Sunday before he left, and he said, "What was your favorite part?" And we were sitting poolside, and I was watching Eric. You guys were in there shooting hoops and stuff, and everybody was just having their own fun. And I looked around and I said, "This is my favorite part." Just like being with all these people that we get to be internet friends with, and we work together all the time, right? And we're always communicating through this factor. But having that in-person experience with each other, it's really just priceless to me. And, seeing our friendships and bonds and relationships grow and strengthen, and, it feels like family. And that's wonderful. I think that's something we all strive for here.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say about DEFCON in general, too, for anyone else out there who's listening, not necessarily someone who's looking to send employees, but people are just, maybe getting started or whatever, is that, in our industry, there's a decent amount of social anxiety. There's a decent amount of feeling like people don't get you or understand you. You talk to family or friends from school or friends from work or something, they're just not the same. The one thing I've always loved about DEFCON is it feels like everyone's the same. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it really can help you break down those walls of that social anxiety and stuff like that. I mean, it's not going to do all of it for you, but you'll find if you start to let them fall down, you'll find some people that really get you. And that's always very important too.
Yeah. That's
a really good point.
Wonderful thought. Yep. Cool. Anything else, Brad, you want to add?
No, I'm jealous. They get to go. So no, it sounds like it was a great time. And I agree, that time together, you just can't replace that. You can't simulate that. You have to do it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I looked around at one point and I just thought, it's like I'm hanging out with all my best friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and then I was like, but I work with these people. That's the coolest thing in the world, man.
Yep. I feel so lucky. Every time I get back and I reflect, it's like the combination of I'm so happy when I reflect and I think about that. But I'm so sad because I know I got to wait a year before we can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's wrap up with some shout outs before we go today. I'm just going to look at my screen and go right to left. And Pink, you're up, man. Who you shouting out to?
Oh, man. No, I have nothing. Come back.
I'll take the easy one. I'm going to give a shout out to you guys and then the entire team that went there. Just having done CTFs in the past and knowing how well you did and still manage to get that balance for you guys to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to shout out the team for sure. I'm going to mimic that. Just shout out to Team Ambush. It's such a wonderful team, wonderful, beautiful spirits and beings on that team, man, who care about each other, love each other, work together so well, and just extremely proud of everything that we've built here and continue to build, and it's just beautiful.
I'll throw out some specific shout-outs. My specific shout-outs go to, I'm using only nicknames here, Easy Bake for taking lead and pulling people together and getting them involved, and really trying to kind of, forge forward and get people involved in some CTFs and learn some new things. I think he did a great job. Waffle for showing us that he's a very, very, very bright mind. And Sledge for being our poolside bartender, because man, that was great.
I'll give a direct shout out to Vim King for rallying for karaoke on Sunday night, because that was dope.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little more specific, but I'll keep it a little bit general because I'm not entirely sure who all got to work on it, because I know we were trying to set up some remote stuff or whatever. But I did want to just shout the guys in particular that worked on the Trace Labs thing, because I know that was a big emotional hit, and they did a lot of, they did a lot there, and that hit them pretty hard. And so for them being willing to take that challenge on, try to help people out, that's pretty big. So big shout out to those guys.
I'm going to give it one more shout out. We got a ton of shout outs today to our blue teamers that stayed back home, because while we were out there having a good time, and it was unfortunate circumstances that they didn't get to join us, but we had a bunch of casework come in, and those guys were, knocking it out of the park on that casework and making sure our clients were still served when they needed us. And so we appreciate you guys. We're very sorry you weren't able to be there with us, but we do appreciate what you did on the back end so that we could continue to have a good time.
Definitely.
I have one last shout out too.
Yeah. Right.
To the rest of the company, sales, marketing, PM team, everybody else, ops and all that, who dealt with the fact that none of us responded to them for like 6 days and didn't yell at us when we got back. So
That's a big one. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in today. Thanks Eric Pinky for joining us, and we will talk to everybody again soon. Have a safe rest of your day, safe weekend, and speak soon. See you.
Thanks, everybody.